work in a company where our users and customers are used to not being heard. They're used to being looked at as charity cases, as someone who needs help all the time. One of the disastrous things about finding yourself in a group like this is that almost no one treats you like a serious customer. And you might say that that's a good thing, that we shouldn't push the weakest among us to buy things. But parts of that attitude has really deprived these groups of good solutions and technology that could really work for them. So the reason I'm here today is my job. 2 years ago, I co-founded a company called No Isolation. And as our name quite clearly states, we try to help people out of loneliness and social isolation. And we're doing that by building technology products, solutions, for those who simply cannot use generic tools to cover their needs. Because loneliness is a huge and diverse problem, really a pandemic that doesn't discriminate on age or gender or nationality, we couldn't hope to fix all of these different groups' problems at once. So we started where we thought we could have the biggest impact, with the kids and teenagers suffering from long-term illness. Children that literally cannot leave their bedroom or hospital bed for months or even years at a time. More than 500,000 kids are in this group every year in the EU. And being severely sick does a lot to you, but it does not alter your need for social connection and friendships. And the question that we asked ourselves in the beginning, and that we get too often now, is why can't they just use a tablet? Well, there's a million reasons why. Because having an iPad does not just let you magically be present in the classroom. There has to be a parent or a teacher that's willing to put in a lot of effort to make it happen. And that's just not good enough. So we wanted and needed to find a simple way to take these kids out of their bedrooms, maybe virtually, but still into the real world. Find a way to let them not only observe their peers in social media, but really let them be present when things actually happen. And I'm going to show you a video. It's of our first product. It's a telepresence robot that lets children go wherever they want to go despite of their physical health, and let them see and even talk to, through the robot, their friends in real time. And Eric in the movie, he's been using one of our robots for over a year now.
Boy, take me away into the night, out of the hum of the street lights and into a forest. I'll do whatever you say to me in the dark. Blow the candles. You're too old to be so shy, he says to me, so I stay the night. Just a young heart, confusing my mind, but we're both in silence. How to blow out all the candles, blow out all the candles. You're too old to be so shy, he says to me, so I stay the night. It's just a young heart, confusing my mind, we're both in silence. Both in silence. Why?
And thank you. building a product like this demands a focus that the tech industry today is not very good at. It demands that you spend time with your users, that you test and test and test again to understand their limitations and their motivations and their needs. And as someone from the tech industry myself, I unfortunately have to say we when I talk about the industry as a whole. And I would claim that we have failed. Whilst generic consumer technology has gotten better and better, making efficient people more effective than ever, the group that drops out and falls behind keeps growing. So we could say that previously we failed the kids with long-term illness, but the biggest wrongdoing has been done to the seniors, the ones that should be able to contribute to society with their experience and skills. And I do not know if you've heard of this, but there's a concept called leathery fingers. It only means that your fingertips are dry. It's very common amongst those over 80. And dry fingertips would not have been a problem at all if it wasn't for a genius invention called touchscreens. Touchscreens do not respond well to very dry fingertips. And if you've ever sat next to a senior trying to operate a touch surface, you've probably noticed how most of them find it hard. You've probably also rolled your eyes a little and asked them to try again, but that's simply mean, because touchscreens are not built for old hands. And to figure out things like this, you have to invest a lot in your users. But if we keep looking at the 92-year-old as a charity case, we'll continue giving him whatever we have left over from when we made something for ourselves, like the tablet. By not looking at the 92-year-old as a potential core customer, we're not only ignoring a huge potential market, we're robbing him of services and choices. So 2 years ago, No Isolation started working with the kids, and you saw a bit of the results in the video. Now I'm going to try to explain what happened when we, almost a year ago, started working with the oldest parts of the population. So we started in January by recognizing that none of us are over 80. And even if we were, we wouldn't represent the entire group. So we needed input. And we spent 2 months on only reading up and interviewing seniors and their caretakers. And we tried really to identify the isolating factors in their lives. We also tried to explore the technology available to them. And you have no idea how disturbing pop-up windows on computers are until you sat next to an 87-year-old who insists on reading the content of every single one. And then there's a lot of pop-up windows. So 1/4 of our senior population goes days without opening their mouths to talk. And as much as 1/3 of everyone over 80 in the EU, it's a lot of people, tells or says that they're haunted by loneliness. And technology is doing next to nothing for them. And we were starting to figure out why no one has really solved this before us, because it's hard. And because everything that we as engineers wanted to do ended up slightly resembling magic, like voice control and eye tracking. It was rejected by our user group. And touchscreens was useless for more than half of them. But the most daunting experience we had was that the seniors had completely given up on technology. They had no confidence that technology could even be something for them. But we are talking about the people who were around when the television was introduced, the same people who saw the washing machine come to life, and who actually watched as the first man walked on the moon. How can they say that technology is not something for them? Or more precisely, what did we do to traumatize them? My generation and the one above me must have completely missed the point. Technology is here to help and assist us, and it's certainly not here to make people feel stupid or to make some of us work faster. But how could we, as a small startup, introduce valuable tech in a completely non-intrusive way? Well, we tried a lot of ideas, but in May this year, we were closing in on this might be a solution. We were still very scared we might have missed, but we hacked together homemade computers, and we recruited 5 families to do a serious test. The seniors, all of them above 80, had very varying handicaps like vision and mobility and sight impairments, and they only really had 2 things in common. The first one was that none of them wanted to be a part of the test. And the second one was that their families really did. So the seniors, betrayed by their own, got prototypes installed in their homes. And we tried to assure them that they did not have to do anything. Their families would take care of, do all the work. But we were fighting against the tide. We were trying to force 80 and 90-year-olds to test the latest tech. And the most tech-averse guy in the group, it was 84-year-old farmer. He insisted that we placed his device in the far corner of his living room, almost behind the curtain, because he did not want this. But only 2 days after we'd been there and installing it, he had asked his grandson to move this screen close to his chair so that he could keep track of the pictures that his family kept sending him. So he was using it. And when we tried ending the test 2 months later, none of them wanted to give us our ugly prototypes back. And today, a little over 4 months after we gave out some very much homemade computers, these 5 people have received over 1,500 pictures and texts from their loved ones on top of the video calls that goes through automatically. And in the next 30 seconds, I'm gonna try to give you a glimpse of what we're making. We're launching it in a month from now, so it's very exciting. And yeah, let's see it. We're calling it comp. Thank you. I'm really not here to promote us, honestly. I'm here to hopefully restore some hope, to tell you that the tech industry is not only here to serve themselves, and to try to convince you that technology is more than social media. To say that technology can, in fact, enable those long and boring face-to-face conversations where we get to know each other, and technology can be warm. I also here to say that I think you've been fooled, because understanding technology is really not a measurement of intelligence. If it was so, then plumbing and architecture should be too. It is without a question the tech industry that needs to build solutions that everyone can use. So my hope is that you leave here today knowing that it's never your tech skills that should be measured. It is always the design of the products offered to you. And I think it's really about time the tech industry stepped up and started listening to its users.